What's going on, everyone? Zane here with Everything Vive. Welcome back for another episode. We got some game talk for you guys. I am here with Ronnie. Ronnie, how's it going, man?
It's going great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's Friday, a Friday before the holiday, Christmas holiday,
Yep.
and yeah, man, I'm excited for a lot of VR. The Steam sale is going on right now, so that's really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, so before we jump into it, a couple of quick things. First off, just want to send a little reminder that we are on iTunes and Stitcher. So if you don't mind leaving us a review, we'd really appreciate it. And we are also on YouTube. We post these episodes on there. So if you're listening, please do hit subscribe, leave a comment, let us know how everything's going. The other thing, which is probably a little bit more exciting, is the giveaway, the Steam Key giveaway that we're doing for Containment Initiative. So if you listen to episode number 38, which is the last one we came out with on Wednesday, that was with Thomas, the dev behind Containment Initiative. He's got some updates going on. Make sure you check out the interview and the way that you can enter for a free Steam Key, or one of the two free Steam keys, is by leaving a comment on that specific episode on YouTube. So all you got to do, go to YouTube, type in Everything Vive, look for episode number 38 with Thomas from Containment Initiative, and leave a comment there. Let us know what your thoughts are on the interview, on VR in general, some of the updates that he's adding. We just want to facilitate some awesome VR discussion and conversation there. So with that being said, Ronnie, you ready to jump in?
I am. Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, well, we got one game each again. We're going to try this format moving forward where we each will take a game over the previous week to kind of dive into. Ronnie, why don't you go first? I hear you got a pretty fun one that I've been looking into, actually.
Yeah, so the game I'm going to be talking about, I just picked up the other day. It's called Thumper. And Thumper is a rhythm game. I'm actually pulling up the developer's website right now because I thought that the way they described it was pretty fitting on their webpage. But let me see if I can get it. There it goes. Yeah, their website lists it as a rhythm violence game. And it's it's a very unique rhythm game, actually. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, but at the same time, it was really, really cool. So the way I had first heard of the game, obviously it had been released on Steam already, and it was released on the PlayStation, and it was compatible with PlayStation VR, but it wasn't available anywhere else in VR. And every time I had heard people talking about the game, they mostly talked about how great of an experience it was in VR and how virtual reality really added another level to the gameplay. Not just the experience itself, the atmosphere and whatnot, but actual gameplay, having the depth, in 3D in VR actually helped play the game. So finally, I noticed that it had just that the developers had just added Steam VR and Oculus support on December 9th. So I went ahead and actually picked it up. It's on sale right now in the Steam store on the winter sale. It's about 20% off, I believe. So normally it's going to be around $20, but you can pick it up for $16, I believe, right now. And I mean, before I move any further, what were some of the things that you had heard? Because I know you, Zane, had wanted to play the game, or you were thinking about purchasing it. So what had you heard before I explain what the game's like?
Sure. So I actually don't know much about the game. I did see the rhythm violence thing, and that was very, very intriguing for me. I haven't had a chance to look into any of the video gameplays online. Gameplay videos online. And so to me, it's still very much a mystery, but I do remember seeing a lot of really positive feedback for it on Reddit, which just kind of brought it to my attention since it's a little bit newer. And I guess now I'm learning the game isn't necessarily new, but the VR functionality in it is new. And I just remember a lot of the comments being like, this game, like if you are a VR owner, this is a must own title, that type of stuff, which, can always be like a little bit overdone. You never know. But to see all the positive feedback on there, not every great game makes it to the hot topics on Reddit or on Steam, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like whenever
No, I
something's
do.
there, like it's kind of just what's that? You get there's a bunch of impressions. You know, you keep seeing it over and over again with people talking about it. So I mean, like I said, I don't know anything about it. I saw the Rhythm Violence and I was like, ooh, it's on sale this week. So you know, I
Yeah.
might look to get it. But then when I heard you were going to talk about it this week, I was like, okay, let me wait until Ronnie lets me know, you know, gives his analysis of the game before I make any moves. So with that
Yep.
being said, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, so initially, just for anybody out there that might not have like a controller or something like that, that was one of the first things that I was. I mean, I'm not that surprised now in retrospect, but when I first turned on the game, I wasn't quite expecting. Is the game? It from what I can tell, I think it either requires you could probably do it with a keyboard. I'm not 100% sure, but definitely a gamepad. Like you're not able to use the Steam control or the the Vive controllers. So either I'll have to check to see if keyboard support is an option. But I used an Xbox One controller once I kind of got that set up. So basically and that's I guess another caveat before I talk about the game is that this is definitely not a room scale VR
I was
experience.
just gonna ask if it's like seated or something.
Yeah, it's seated. So
Okay.
so it kind of I mean I thought what it did worked really well. Again, I went into it knowing that it was a rhythm game, obviously, but I had no other expectations as far as like what type of virtual reality experience it was going to be or anything like that. So I had actually started up the game standing up with my Vive controllers and and then quickly realized that they weren't doing anything in the menu on the game. So I kind of quickly, turned on my Vive camera, went over to the desk, grabbed my Xbox One controller, turned it on, restarted the game, and then my controller was able to function in the menu. And I noticed that right away the screen itself kind of situated based on where I was standing or sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So if I would sit like if you're standing, it'll be on eye level. If you sit down, it'll take a second or so, and then it'll just recalibrate down to like your new level. So I thought it's best I think if you can find somewhere to sit or something, because the good news is you'll probably want to play this game for quite a while. I mean, when my first go at it, I got through the first two levels and I played easily around like 45, 50 minutes. And I wasn't like I had to leave. That's the reason I turned it off. It wasn't like I was getting fatigued or anything. Though it was kind of stressful, like on my fingers and stuff. Like it's a very intense game, so like my thumb was kind of hurting near the end. But not. You will not stop playing this game for the same reasons you sometimes do in some VR titles or anything like. Not like that. Like this is definitely if you're looking for those out there that are looking for a longer experience, that they can just sit down and really have an extended play session in. This is a good game to do it in. So, but yeah, so like I was mentioning, I got through the first two levels while I played, and I didn't fail too many times. So I think that's probably about right for most people. I'd say probably 40 minutes or so for those. So like 20 minutes or so per level, I would assume, and there are 9 levels total, I believe. So clearly with any rhythm game, I mean, there's going to be replay value in terms of as you get better and better, you're going to enjoy the game more and more. I didn't necessarily do terrible, but I didn't do amazingly either. My first playthrough of those two levels. So, and and the way to best describe it, so when you start the game, you're surrounded obviously by black. I think you're in space, and right in front of you is a track, and the track like starts at your center and then goes off into the distance, and it's like a curvy kind of windy track, and you control what on the game's website they call a space beetle. I don't know. I just thought like playing the game, it really doesn't matter what it is. It's kind of like a round puck almost looking thing that's sitting near your level of view on the track, and you can move it around with the joystick, and you can press A and it kind of jumps off the track and lands back on the track. and that's essentially so as the music plays, the beetle starts going down the track. So the track is kind of just like pulling back, and so the beetle's always in the same point of view, in your headset, and you start going down, like zooming down that track to the music. And when different things pop up on this track, you have to do different types of button presses. So there will be specific, like almost power up emblems that you have to hit on cue with the beat, to gain, like it looks almost like health or like shielding.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's certain, like anytime the track like veers quickly off right or left, there will be kind of these like almost bumper like banks. Like think of it like, I don't know, like bumper cars, or like almost like a bumper on a bowling alley, you know, lane or something, when kids put those on there. And it'll just be like, just for a few moments. And if you see one of those, you have to lean the joystick and press A into the right direction. Otherwise, it hurts you. And what I noticed was those rails and a couple of other items that I might get to later are the main ones that if you hit those without moving the joystick properly, those are usually what cause you to fail and have to kind of restart that portion of the level. And so the power ups are more to like help give you life. And then it's those kind of things that you're supposed to dodge and kind of go to the music with, that kind of make it or break it in terms of if you're going to be moving on. And the music itself. So, I mean, I'm doing my best to kind of describe the mechanics a little bit.
Yeah.
But the music itself and just like the graphics and what you're seeing around you is really what makes the game. And like I said, you're in a dark space, and then this track is very illuminated, like lit up, and everything coming at you has like, bright colors, and there's going to be all of these objects kind of folding and bouncing and moving around to the beat of the music around you. And that those are the kind of things that, like, as you're playing, you really get sucked in and you really feel like you're a part of the game. And I mean, I can imagine the game working on like a fundamental basis on a TV, but I just don't think you would get nearly the same type of enjoyment out of it as you do in VR, because having all this stuff around you, and I mean, when the developers call it a violent game or a rhythm violence game, the reason the music is very like oppressive in kind of a weird way. Like it's not your typical kind of rhythm game where you're playing some normal song or some pop song in the background and hitting button presses to the song. This is like a very orchestrated, like I said, oppressing kind of tonal type of music, that kind of fits that void being out in space kind of tone. And so like a lot of the types of instruments that you're going to be hitting these button presses to are more like clanks and like loud sounds that do have a rhythm, but at the same time, it's not like a traditional rhythm that you'd be accustomed to. So, but it, like I said, it all adds to that atmosphere, and you feel like you're kind of in this play. And then at the end of each stage, I'm not sure if there's only one per level or if there's kind of like multiple bosses per, but you'll hit a boss, and basically the boss will be some large, like weird kind of character figure that gets stuck to the end of the rail more or less, and the rail stops, and now you see this boss in front of you, and you're not able to progress until you're able to defeat that boss. And usually the boss fights have kind of patterns to them in terms of what types of prompts you have to hit, and some of them are pretty challenging actually, but most of them go along the basis that like you have to hit a certain number of prompts in a row in order to get a charged up kind of blast that you can then send onto that boss and actually do damage. And if you do like 2 or 3 of those to the boss, then the boss will be destroyed and you kind of move on. And throughout this, like each level is kind of broken up into all these mini sections. And so you get graded based on how well you did during each section. So you get a lot of feedback as to whether you're doing well or not, whether your button presses are perfectly in sync or not, and they'll give you like an S rank, A, B, C, etc. Most of the time when I was playing it, like I would get a few S's, but I would mostly get like A's, B's, and C's. And so I mean, I think I was doing okay. I was doing pretty well, but anyway, so that's kind of how it goes, and it is really cool. Like I said, I spent about 45 minutes playing it, and I didn't feel like I was fatigued or anything, and even just talking about it now kind of makes me want to go and put the headset on and kind of this is definitely not a game that you're probably going to pull out a lot with friends. They're going to come over, like they may want to try it, but especially given how it's more of a seated experience and more, you're going to want to play for an extended period of time. This isn't the kind of game to really entertain with, but it is a game that most people, I think, will get enjoyment out of if they're, by themselves and they want to sit down and really be immersed in something. If you don't have, like a nice surround system or something, I definitely recommend playing this game with headphones so that you can really get as much out of it as possible. So,
wow, man, that's awesome. Well, first off, you make the game sound really exciting, while at the same time I have so much trouble visualizing exactly what you were saying. And so I'm saying that because the caveat that you gave me actually before we started recording was that like I think I'm gonna have trouble, explaining how this is, and like at the time I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever, let's just dive into it and see what happens. And now I see exactly what you mean by that.
Yeah. No,
it sounds intense though.
Yeah,
I like
it's very cool. I think you'll like it. Like, it's very cool. And it's one of those things, like, it's not a slow ramp up by any means, but I definitely think like a good 15, 20 minutes in is when I was really starting to feel it. And because I was starting to get the rhythm of how everything worked. And it wasn't like at first you're kind of, trying to hit the buttons at the right time and you're not really feeling it. It's just like, I guess just like music in general, once you get away from the mechanics of trying to actually do things correctly, and it's intuitive enough to where you're just doing them at the right times. That's I think when it gets the most fun. So
cool. No, so I mean that actually also confirms a lot of the positive feedback that I've been seeing on it, because I remember one of the things that jumped out to me was it was either a Steam review or a Reddit post, or someone's just like, I just came out of the game after spending 90 minutes, and I was like, wow, like 90 minutes. I mean, that's fantastic. Like that there are experiences out there that, you can spend that extended period of time. But it was with the same attitude that you have, or same kind of angle that you're coming from, where it's like, I spent 90 minutes and it felt like nothing. Like I was really into the game. I was having fun. I wasn't fatigued, and I was just really enjoying the experience overall. So that's really cool to see and hear.
Like I said, the only caveat is that my thumb afterwards is kind of like killing me, because I was so so intensely glued to getting those prompts right, and it is like kind of nerve-wracking in a good way. Like it's like kind of an intense, like stressful kind of game in a sense. Like it's hard to explain, but I mean that in a totally positive way, in terms of like you're just trying to do your best all the time, and like so at the end my thumb was kind of sore from like just slamming on that A button so much, but I mean, like I said, all of that caveat aside, I can't wait to get back in and play it some more. So
awesome, man. So you definitely recommend this one then, especially while it's on sale for Steam
for
winter sale.
I mean, I think for the $20, like, I mean, just in general, I feel like I don't want to be an over stickler on pricing, that kind of thing. Like for $20, I still think it's pretty good, especially if you like rhythm music. I mean, I like it, or rhythm games. I think this is a no-brainer. This is a great experience in VR, and like I was saying, like the extra depth that you get from playing it in VR, in addition to the atmospheric stuff, is definitely worth it. At $16, I think it's very close to being like a must buy. And if it was any cheaper, like I don't hesitate to recommend it. Like I definitely think people should pick it up. So
Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. Like, price point should never be, well, yeah, I mean, price point is definitely something to be considered for
Hmm.
obvious reasons. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, people value things very differently. They value experiences very differently. So,
Yep.
it's hard to say what's worth $20 to you is worth, $50 or something to someone else. But
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. And it does seem like with all the positive feedback the game has gotten, like, if it's on sale now, I wouldn't see any reason not to grab it. So I'm
Yep.
definitely encouraged by your story and your insight for it.
Awesome. Yeah. So what about? Ironically, this week, so the game I picked up, Thumper, it was a game that you were considering picking up, and then likewise, I think the game you're about to talk about is one that I was thinking about pulling the trigger on, but I haven't gotten a chance to get around to it either yet. So what? Yeah. So
Yes. So
explain.
so I got Climbey. I actually got it yesterday, the first day of the Steam winter sale. And so the game is usually $10 and it's like 25% off. So it's like 7.50. It's price of like a Starbucks coffee. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's so much fun. Like, okay, so let me back up real quick. The I kept hearing about this game on Reddit and like, maybe not as much recently, but definitely once it came out and once it was really popular, I want to say a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, where people just kept talking about how awesome it was, how unique of an experience and, angle of gameplay that it was. And then also how cool like it was in multiplayer because I haven't tried the multiplayer aspect yet. I was really just exploring as what the single player options could do. But I did see some gameplay videos before buying, and that was like a while ago. And I also saw
What kind of multiplayer? Like, is it between Vives over the internet, or
yeah,
is it?
yeah. So it's all online multiplayer. And so let me dive into the gameplay first. It's super simple. The graphics, nothing to write home about, but that's all you really need because what you're really doing is getting immersed in the mechanics of the game. And it's essentially a climbing game, and it's done so in a way where it's not trying to be overly realistic. In fact, it shies away from that by by showing you what's necessary. It gives you several different controls. So you can walk by kind of waving your controls back and forth, almost like maybe like a doggy paddle or regular walking.
I like that.
Yeah, so it's an interesting form of movement. You can use the triggers where you like reach back or reach up and then pull back, and you hold down the triggers and you kind of jump from one area to the next. And then you also use the triggers on certain surfaces, like it's either a gray or a white surface. And if it's a white surface, you can actually reach onto there with your hands. And the triggers actually formulate as hands in the game, and you're essentially just climbing the entire thing. And so, it's just a point A to point B type of game, and there's all these different obstacles or different ways to get from point A to point B. Or usually there's one path. As you get to later levels, they do offer some different paths, but it's really cool. Like, I mean, I don't know how else to describe it except for the fact that like it's essentially a climbing game, and it utilizes a lot of like it's as physical as people said, because that's one of the things that I had heard initially. So like you're kind of like moving around. You're not necessarily jumping, but physically jumping. But in the game, you're reaching as far as you can. You're going from one place to the next, and
Are you reaching up or out, or kind of like how does it kind of work? Because I'm trying to visualize it.
yeah, so you're reaching out in all directions. So imagine like doing like monkey bars or something, and you're going from one place to the next, or you're climbing up a wall, and so therefore like you have to physically reach up with one hand, hold the trigger down to grab, and then pull all the way down, and then you reach your other hand up. So it's like you're climbing a ladder in virtual reality or something. You're essentially
Is
just
it easy to fall, or is it?
yeah, I mean, if you let go, then you fall, and like it's just
Got
a
it.
big like grayish, greenish like mesh that you fall into. I mean, there's nothing, and then you start where you last left off.
Yeah.
So there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing like overly spectacular about that. I will say, and I don't want to get caught up on it, nor do I want to like make it bigger, something that bigger than it is. It does take a while to get used to the movement. I think I have a pretty strong stomach. Like I've never like felt awful in terms of like motion sickness when it comes to any game in VR.
Yeah.
I feel like this game was unique in just how you like there's a lot of jumping. So like when you land, your brain kind of expects you to make some kind of impact, but then there's nothing there. So that was a little trippy. And then, the other parts of it is like, just that different style of movement. Now, instead of like even pressing a button, you have some movement with your arms or with your hands, but it takes a little while to get used to. And if you're motion sick or if you get motion sick easy, it's not that I wouldn't recommend the game. I think the game is awesome, but I would definitely say take it slow the first time around because it gets better. Like as soon as I was like a couple of levels in, I was like, okay, this is second nature. Yeah, there were still a couple times where like my legs got wobbly because I was like, oh wait, I kind of fell off the side or something weird happened. That wasn't necessarily a glitch, but just kind of part of the game. But overall, like that didn't take away at all from the experience. I just kind of want to throw that warning out there.
Yeah, no, that's good for people that haven't tried it to know that. As far as difficulty, like how do things ramp up? Because like I can imagine, like at first you're probably just doing simple movements and simple types of climbs, and then it probably gets more and more. Since it sounds like it's level based, I was just kind of curious as what kind of things do they add to make it more and more challenging.
So I'm not sure how many levels there are. I mean, I went through like the first 10 or 11 already, and
Okay.
I mean the progression has been really good. It feels natural. Like the first couple levels you learn how to move, and then I think like the first level you learn how to move, second level you learn how to jump, and then climb. So like it slowly shows you all the controls, and then I feel like it definitely adds difficulty in a way that's really manageable. Like again, like I played, I want to say, for a good half an hour to 40 minutes before I had to leave. Like I would have gone and played more,
Yeah.
but like that's the game that I'm gonna play this weekend and really just explore as much as I can because I haven't gotten a chance to do the multiplayer, and just getting into the multiplayer part of it. I think what's really cool is, and again, this is just from watching some of the gameplay videos online and on YouTube. You can actually help each other up. So like, let's say you guys can go through a level, and there's an area where you can like toss your friend up so that they can reach something that you wouldn't normally be able to reach, and then they reach out their hand and you can grab their hand and pull yourself up. So there's a very like camaraderie I don't know how else to describe it, but it's just like
Yeah.
there's so much like cooperative cohesiveness to that style, if that makes any sense. I know that probably
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense, but
No, 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 it does.
like
It does. I know
I
what you
mean,
mean.
playing in multiplayer, like you actually need each other's help. You actually can go through levels where you're required to have 2 to 3 people maybe, or I don't know if I've seen a gameplay video with 3, but I know definitely with 2 people so far. You can go through it, and so it seems like there's so much more of it makes the game so much richer, and I'm really excited for that. And especially if you get the game at some point, we might have to try multiplayer as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely. That sounds awesome.
But there was
Uh,
one comment that stuck out to me, and I remember reading this a while back. Was I think some guy on Reddit was talking about how he had the game on his Vive, and his son lived in another country halfway across the world and had a Vive as well. And like they had some father-son bonding time, climbing up together and talking to each other as if they were like right next to one another and climbing in the
Aw.
same room. So like to me, yeah, it's a heartwarming story first off, but to me that's like technology at its finest. That's like utilizing a hardware piece like the Vive, an awesome
Yeah.
software application like Climbey, just to have some like cool time together. And I'm not even saying that you have to like do this with your relatives with the holidays coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying like that aspect was really cool, and I was just like, wow,
No, it is.
that's a fantastic way to look at VR and what what it can offer.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just crazy how we've had Skype and video calling and all that kind of stuff for a while now, but being able to actually be in a space and interact with someone that's so far away is such a cool thing.
Yeah, no, agreed. And you know how they say like 90% of language is body language, or 90% of
Yeah.
communication is body language? Obviously, you can't really communicate most of that in VR, but I think it would totally make a big difference, like seeing someone else in VR, seeing how they use their limited hand gestures, and
Yeah,
even
yeah.
just like talking, like being able to look at someone rather than just having a phone next to your ear. You know what I mean? Like it's just there's a
Yeah.
different vibe to it. And I'm sure once, obviously I think on the Oculus side they're working on avatars and all that. And so once games really start to refine that aspect, I think the social part of VR will really start to take off.
Oh yeah. No, you see a huge potential for it. And it's something that's going to happen one way or another, so.
Agreed. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, at $7.50 for the next week or so, I think I would say that this is a must buy. And even when it's not on sale, I think that it's something that it's definitely worth considering just
Very
because
cool.
of the uniqueness of the game. I haven't seen anything else like it. I haven't come across anything else like it. And so, yeah, I don't know. What, you have any other questions or thoughts?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. You definitely made me want to buy the game. I was already on the fence about it, but it sounds like, I mean, with that, you're talking in the single digits here as far as what it costs. Like,
Yeah,
there's kind of no excuse, really.
yeah, I mean, with so many other games out there that can be disappointing, I think, for higher price points, I just feel
Mhm.
like you pay 750 for this, or even $10. Let's just go with $10 in case somebody's listening to this in the future. And to me, like it's a great experience, and I've only scratched the surface, and I've already spent almost 30 to 45 minutes in it, and that's just on the multiplayer. Sorry, that's just on the single player part. I can't
Mhm.
wait to dive into the multiplayer aspect, and I know that there's a decent player base out there that regularly engages in it, so it'll be fun to see what happens.
Very, very cool.
All right, man. Well, that's all I have for today's game talk. How about you?
Yeah, no, same. Like, I mean, I think both of those games, Thumper and Climbey, both sound like games that are definitely worth picking up in the Steam sale. And there are a lot of other games out there too that we might already have that we're not bringing up right now. But I mean, I definitely recommend for everyone to go and spend some quality time in the Steam store, kind of combing through to see what there is there. And just to point out, this is another great reason to be updating your wish list regularly, because
Yeah.
I notice games that I am interested in but not necessarily ready to purchase, or games that aren't out yet. I've been adding them to that list, and
Hmm.
Steam's really good about reminding me, like, if not through emails. I don't think I've been getting emails, but in the Steam store itself,
Yeah. Yeah.
it will say, "Hey, these are some of your items on your wish list that are on sale," and I can always go back to that list and kind of check them out and then pick them up. So it's just a good way to keep up with that and not miss opportunities to get games a little cheaper when they do get discounts. So
Yeah. And just to put a little disclaimer on that, we do not get anything from Steam. We're not in any way affiliated with them. So this is just our
yeah.
personal recommendation. Although it would be nice, right?
Oh,
No. I'm totally kidding. We're not affiliated with them at all. We are just big fans of the games that we mention and fans of what Steam is doing. So.
yep, yep.
Um, yeah, with that, I think we'll wrap it up, man. So for those listening, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Just we'll put another reminder out there about us being on iTunes and Stitcher. We really would appreciate it if you would leave us a review, and it helps the podcast grow, helps us get some ranking in those platforms, and then on YouTube as well. Make sure you connect with us there, and then also don't forget about the Containment Initiative giveaway. We will announce the winner for that on Monday's episode. So you have until Sunday night. And we'll go with Sunday night Pacific Standard Time in the United States of America. Sunday night.
What Sunday is that? That is the 20.
That's 20. Oh, that's Christmas.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, okay. So you have until the end of Christmas. So after all your eating and drinking and gift giving and opening and festivities, don't forget to, if you're looking for Containment Initiative and don't have it yet, we're doing a giveaway.
Yep.
So, and yeah, we'll announce that on Monday, as well as hopefully get in contact with the winners shortly after that. And yeah, that's all I got for everyone around the world, whether or not you celebrate. Well, I'll just say Merry Christmas to those who celebrate. And if you don't, I guess the more PC thing is to say Happy Holidays. But whatever the case might be, hope you guys enjoy the weekend. Hope you guys enjoy wherever you guys are at. And Ronnie, you too, man. I know you'll be doing some traveling as well.
Thank you. Yeah, going to see a lot of family and everything. I'm really looking forward to it. So
Awesome. Well, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the holidays, and we will talk to you guys again on Monday. So take care and talk soon.